So the 49ers beat the New York Giants 34-24, a 10-point victory in a game that felt a little bit more than that. It felt like the Niners really put on a good beating on the Giants. This was a feel-good win, no doubt about it. This was a win that brought the team together, makes the team see what they could be. It was a very well put together game from the offense and the defense, despite the defense letting up 24 points. They had a final touchdown in the final fourth quarter. The game was practically over. It was after, they went for an onside kick after it. They had 17 points before that. So I can't fault the defense too much about it, but overall, offense and defense, both sides played extremely well, especially in the trenches. I thought this game would be win or loss in the trenches. And, hey, the Niners offensive line held up and defensive line got pressure. They got home twice. They sacked Jackson Dart twice. So you love to see that. After the first drive, I was a little bit concerned. The Giants and Jackson Dart marched down the field, no Cam Scatterbo for them, but they scored relatively easy, and it was definitely giving me some Houston Texans vibes. The Texans' first drive, they marched downfield and they scored touchdowns super fast, especially with the Niners' first drive kind of stalling out a little bit, so I was a little concerned. It was a Theo Johnson touchdown. He stiff-armed Diamador Lenore. Those vibes just don't feel great to open up the game. Not only that, but it's a 10 a.m. game here on the West Coast, and frankly, I hate the early morning games. I wake up and immediately 49ers football. It gets the blood pressure going to start the day, but of course, winning it makes it feel all better. Hot start for Mac Jones. How about that? A perfect first half from him. He was 14 for 14, something like that. Didn't throw an incompletion until the third quarter. He finishes the game 19 for 24, 253 yards and 2 touchdowns. Had some questionable balls that could have been picked off. He had one that technically was a pick. Technically, it was ruled a fumble, but it pretty much looked like a pick. Brian Burns came from the right side, and as Mac is getting it out, ball got tipped, and they ruled it a fumble. It could have been either or. It was a turnover. Mostly on the offensive line, credited to Mac Jones, though. Some solid plays, though, overall. He took care of the ball for the most part, and he had a really well put-together game. You love seeing Mac feel more comfortable here, especially with the question marks surrounding Brock Purdy and that turf toe injury. How long will he be gone? When will he be coming back? Kyle Shanahan saying it'll linger all season. Definitely some concerning stuff where, Mac Jones seemingly has to be prepared every single week to week. Mac Jones has to be ready to start. So he's shown some good things in that sense. But majority of the offense, all the offense runs through Christian McCaffrey. What a day on the ground and through the air. 28 carries, insane, for 106 yards, 5 receptions for 67 yards. He led the receiving room in yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 on the ground and 1 receiving. So now the offensive line has stepped up a bit, and McCaffrey has been getting that groundwork a lot more. He was kind of slow rushing the football in the beginning of the season. Now it seems like they found their rhythm. After that Atlanta game where he had, 200 yards total, a lot of them coming from the ground, we're kind of getting back to that ground and pound style run first. Not only that, but Brian Robinson also looked really good. He had 5 carries for 53 yards, and he got a touchdown as well. So you love seeing Brian Robinson being able to find a role in this offense, because he was only, he's only really getting like 5 carries a game. So if he can constantly get 50 so yards, he's been a solid kick returner. He had a really nice kick return, picked up a good chunk of yards. Brian Robinson has really been making a name for himself in this offense. Just that running back room is so talented, so nice. McCaffrey, another amazing game. Over 500 yards rushing and receiving on the season, I believe. Just you love to see, man. He has been aging backwards. All the off-season concerns just look ridiculous now. You lose Fred, you lose Bosa, you lose all these guys, but McCaffrey, who was maybe the most banged up last season, he's been the most healthy this season. So you love to see it. I'm glad that he's looking good. I'm still always concerned about the workload. Getting almost 30 carries still is concerning to me. I'd love to see Robinson get in the mix a little bit more, but I mean, if McCaffrey's doing what he's doing, it's hard to call him out. For the receivers, the rest of the receivers, Jawan Jennings 4 for 41, Kendrick Bourne 2 for 34, Kittle 4 for 32, and then Sky Moore had 1 for 21, and Watkins 1 for 19. I was really happy with those two plays. Sky Moore and Jordan Watkins, both kind of speedy guys. I love seeing Watkins out there getting his opportunity. I would hope to see he gets more than one catch throughout the rest of the season. But man, his catch was nice. He came back to the football, had some strong hands. If he wasn't so strong attacking the football, it would have been an interception. Sky Moore is just so speedy and shifty. He's had some good punt returns. I don't believe he scored a touchdown yet, but hopefully soon. Jawan Jennings, he's kind of by default that receiver one. But he, very on and off. Nothing too ridiculous coming from him, and Kendrick Bourne getting more into that offense, and George Kittle after doing nothing last game. Not his fault totally. We needed him to block and such, and the Texans defense is so talented. But yeah, the receivers, ultimately, we're just waiting for Pearsall to return. I'm happy to see Jennings doing good. I'm very excited to see Watkins get more opportunities and Kendrick Bourne and all that. But, man, when Pearsall comes back and Brandon Aiyuk comes back, this could be pretty dangerous through the air. But the offensive line is what most surprised me, man. The Giants' defense, the front four at least, very reminiscent of the Houston Texans. You got Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter in Houston. The Giants, they've got Brian Burns, they've got Kayvon Thibodeau, they've got Dexter Lawrence, they've got Abdul Carter, the rookie. They have some guys on there, man. But this team held up. I really thought it was going to be a similar sort of story against Houston, where the guys were just a revolving door. Will Anderson just lived in the backfield. Danielle Hunter was making things uncomfortable. For the most part, they were pretty slowed down. Trent Williams had maybe his best game. 0 pressures, 0 sacks. 1 sack given up from Brian Burns, the play where he came off the edge. He beat Colt McKivitz. Brian Burns is just such a talented player. He leads the league in sacks. It's bound to happen. I can live with it. Especially with the win. Now, if you gave up multiple sacks, then it could be a problem. But Burns is so good. It happens. Spencer Burford, his first game back, he played left guard for rookie Connor Colby. Burford got the start. I thought he looked all right. I don't know what you guys thought. Matt Hennessy and Dominic Puli played. So overall, the offensive line, just a really solid unit. I thought it could have been a lot worse. Run blocking was there. Pass blocking was there with only that 1 sack to Brian Burns given up. It could have been a lot uglier. It could have been a lot worse. I got nothing to complain about, to be quite frank. Obviously, you want 0 sacks given up, but with the unit you've got out there, I can't complain too much, especially with that Giants front four. Moving on to the defense, we got to start at that defensive line. Keon White and Clelin Ferrell, the two newest additions, looked solid out there. Keon White had a pretty good pressure rate. Clelin Ferrell, he got himself a sack coming from behind Jackson Dart. Dart was not expecting him at all. Clelin Ferrell just wrapped him up, took him down. I would love to see Ferrell swipe for the ball there because it was out. Dart was looking for somebody. I feel like if Ferrell went for the ball, he drops it, but you love to see it. That's exactly the type of production that you hoped to get from Ferrell, that you remember just years back what he was giving you. Of course, the biggest story, maybe Mykel Williams, ACL tear, man. Just ridiculous. At the end of the game, he really didn't even need to be in. He goes down and you see him screaming and you're just hoping it's nothing too serious. He's walking on the sideline. He walked on his own power to the locker room, but man, so did Bosa. And Kyle Shanahan said immediately after the game, we fear it's the ACL. And today, just as I'm recording this a couple hours before, we got it confirmed. Mykel Williams out for the rest of the season, torn ACL. So hope the young bull will come back even better because, boy, he was so good, especially in the run game, man. He was just making strides. It seemed like week after week, he was looking better and better, feeling more confident maybe. But, man, that is just an absolute big blow to this team. And now that's 2, 3. I mean, pass rushers are just going down like flies. Yetur Gross-Matos is on IR still. Bryce Huff is hopefully to be back soon with his hamstring injury. I mean, it is grime. But hey, at least Samuel Kawanu, he got a sack as well. So 2 sacks to the defensive line. We won the sack battle. You'll have to see that. He's earned this upgraded role. He's playing more minutes because he has to, and I think that he's made the most out of it for the most part. He has what I want to say, 2 or 3 sacks on the season, so nothing to complain about there. He's usually a rotational guy. Now he's having to be that starting guy. So Sam Okuanu always been a solid player, but you still need to make a move to feel comfortable. The trade deadline is tomorrow as you're watching this. Maybe the Niners have made a move. Frankly, as I'm recording this, maybe they will make a move. I need to have the phone out just in case. But yeah, I know they've been on the phones. They've been active. A move should be made. They traded for Keon White, which I liked. I think it's a very underrated move. I think that they're going to stay on the phones here. Hopefully Jermaine Johnson is on his way. Hopefully Kayvon Thibodeaux. Hopefully somebody's on their way to help. I'm not even opposed to trading for 2 guys, to be quite frank. But overall, I was pretty impressed with the defensive line as a unit. So that was pretty sick. For the linebackers, Tatum Bethune, 16 tackles. He was playing out of his mind. You'll love to see him all over the ball. Him and D. Winters, to be fair. Both guys have been playing really well football, despite Fred Warner's injury and that being such a big blow. Bethune has filled in his role, maybe not so much in the pass coverage game, but definitely in the run stopping. He plays, he's running with his hair on fire, and D. Winters has that edge to him as well. So I love seeing that those guys ball, because they're such fun young players, and I'm excited to see them, frankly, on the field with Fred Warner as well next season. So that'll be sick. And I thought the secondary played good enough. They let up some big plays. Renardo Green had maybe his best game of the season. He had a big breakup on Wando Robinson on a 3rd down to force a punt. So that was nice. Lenore, he was good. Obviously, he got stiff-armed on that Theo Johnson opening drive touchdown, but you can live with it. Upton Stout, he makes some plays, but he's definitely still a weak spot. I would love to see Chase Lucas get some opportunities at the slot. Upton Stout, he's just still young. He's still, he's a rookie. He needs some time to develop, it seems. But he's a very good blitzer. When Robert Saleh calls up those blitzes, Stout is quick off the ball to get to the quarterback, to get to the backfield. So I do like that aspect to his game. The safeties, they didn't give up much. There was a big touchdown late in the game to Gunnar Olszewski. That was, kind of, that kind of sucked, but the game was practically over at that point. Jackson Dart made a heck of a throw in between Malik Mustafa and Yammer Lenore. You would love to see them break it up, but, the best counter to a good defense is a better offense. That was just kind of whatever. Again, if it was for the game or something, I'd complain a little bit more about it, but the game was, practically over at that point, so it's tough to nitpick. All in all, just need to get healthier on the D-line, need to add some pieces for sure, need to be active in the trade market, and I think that this defensive unit is overall solid. It's not going to be one of the best in the league if you had Bosa and Fred. Now we're talking in that range, but I think it'll be good enough to get the job done if they all play well. Robert Saleh has done a great job coaching them up. I don't think that the defense is bad enough to sell games if you can get more edge rushers. The problem has been quarterbacks having hours to throw. If you can get some guys to wreak havoc, which, Bryce Huff was doing, Nick Bosa was doing, make the quarterback uncomfortable, make him force some throws, then hopefully we see some sort of a step up. And even if it's a middle of the pack unit, I think it could get the job done. All in all, a nice, clean game, not too much of a sweat. It was a needed win, but also an expected win. The Giants are an inferior opponent. You want to win the games that you expect to win. This was one of them. Last week you can't say the same. Eddie Pinheiro also, you got to give a shout out to him. 2 for 2 on the field goals. He had a 54-yarder, still 100% on field goals on the season. You love to see it. Losing Michael sucks, but the season isn't over. Just you have to be active in the trade market, make a move, get an edge. See, it's still a long season, folks. The NFC is so tight, it is wide open. You can still make a chance. Frankly, the Niners aren't even out of range of the number 1 seed in the NFC. Purdy, Pearsall, Bryce Huff, they should be back soon. Pearsall, hopefully, it's a big game against the Rams next week. You really want to see those guys out there on the field against a big divisional opponent. The Rams come to Levi's Stadium. And this could be a big win to get back on top. The Niners have slipped to number 3 right now with the Seahawks and Rams over them. But if the Niners can beat the Rams, go 4-0 in the division, that will pay huge later on in the season. But folks, that will wrap up this episode of the the Gold Rush Podcast. Week 9, how about this season is going by so fast. But I will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you leave a comment. I love interacting with y'all down there. While you're down there, take a look in the description. All the other social medias are in there. Folks, I will see y'all in the next one. Peace out.